All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Sunday Assembly Nashville. All right, it's so nice to see everybody out on this Sunday morning. We have a awesome assembly for you today. We're super excited. We have a great speaker, a fantastic host. We have cool songs, and we're going to keep with our theme of space and black holes and stars, and going to get a little all of it today. So, everybody excited? Yeah! All right, well, we're going to start with a couple of songs. Y'all can chill, relax. We'll probably try to get y'all standing up towards the end of the show, but sing along. We can't tell if you do or not, really. So enjoy it. Sing your hearts out. But here we go.
I want to tell a dad joke.
A dad joke?
Yeah.
All right, well, let's hear a dad joke.
How did the hamburger introduce his wife? Meet Patty. It's that easy.
Wow.
No shame. No shame here.
We're going to start with a song by Sarah's favorite band.
This is my favorite band.
Yeah, let's do it.
Are you getting noise right now?
Yeah, a little noise. 1 second.
Uh-oh. Oh, it must be the click. We're great. Fine-tuned machine.
y'all. You sound great, I think. Just sing really, really, really loud, and we'll hear you just fine. All right, this next one is fun song, Back from the Youth. Ready?
It's the theme song of the day.
Yes, absolutely. So we're excited. In my eyes. Awesome. All right, I would like to introduce you to the host of today's assembly. Please welcome Miss Felicia Powers to the stage.
I didn't know how fast I would have to walk up here. Sorry about that. But good morning, and thank you for joining us today at Sunday Assembly Nashville. I am so thrilled to have each of you here today, and we're going to talk about that more later. If you're unfamiliar with the Sunday Assembly is a secular congregation that celebrates life. Our motto is, and say it with me if you know it, because that makes it sound like a cult: live better, help often, and wonder more. Our vision is a Sunday assembly in every town, city, and village who wants one. Sunday assembly has no doctrine or set texts. We are happy to make use of wisdom from various sources. And we don't do the supernatural, but we're not going to tell you that you're wrong if you do. Everybody's theology is super personal, and we're never going to tell you that you're wrong. However, we are going to challenge you to live your best life in this one that we know we have. So I'm really excited today to share with you our assembly on black holes. We're probably all going to get sucked into it, metaphorically, hopefully. But I'm just excited for today. I had the honor of taking part in planning this assembly and putting the different parts together, and that's super fun. If that's something that you think you'd like to do and get involved in, we'll talk about that more later during the announcements. But you can totally get on board with planning these assemblies, which is super fun. You pick a topic, find a speaker, and then let it rock. I got to put requests in with the band. Thank you, I love stars. And oh my goodness, Black Hole Sun, that was so good, that solo. Chills, am I right? Oh my goodness, that was so amazing. Part of what we do every month for assembly is that we share an inspirational or educational or insightful poetry reading. And I'm super, super excited to introduce this month's reader, Mr. Chris Shannon. He's more than just a pretty face or the heartbeat of the band. He's a drummer and an IT professional, and he is here to read a beautiful piece for us today. Please welcome Chris Shannon.
I'm usually not this out in front. I need cymbals and drums and things to hide me. So, for 2.5 billion years you've groaned, B flat, 57 octaves below middle C. For 2.5 billion years you've moaned for no one, because no one could hear you from the Perseus cluster, 250 million light years away. Your galactic ground base, million billion times lower than human hearing, dog hearing, even Keplerian hearing, who would have been hard pushed to retain an equal temperament in the face of such monotony, more monkish medieval drone than planetary polyphony, as if Palestrina never happened, and Bach dozed off at the organ shortly after the Big Bang, his elbow resting on a pedal point over which he dreamt his flickering fugues. Short-lived as novas, short-lived as life, short-lived as anything but you, and all too soon sucked back down into your B-flat abyss.
Don't ever try and speak in public with a mask on when you just found out you had asthma recently. I'm so sorry about being so out of breath before. This morning we are pleased to have the professor of physics from Fisk University, a real live rocket scientist and an all-around swell guy, to be our speaker. Dr. Kent Wallace is joining us this morning, and we're gonna hear from him talking about black holes while I pick up the clicker.
Hello, everyone. So let me just say right off the bat that black holes are just crazy exciting things to talk about. And so I'm limited to about 15 to 20 minutes if we include a question and answer, so I'm going to be breezing through a few things, but bear with me. So what you have a picture of here is the Crab Nebula. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this is because when you talk about black holes, you're talking about the remnants of a leftover star. But not every star that dies turns into a black hole. Case in point, with the Crab Nebula, the star explodes, and I'll get into that in a little bit, but if the core does not have enough mass, what you'll have is a neutron star. And in the center of that picture is a little white dot, which is the neutron star that could have possibly become a black hole, but just didn't have the mass. But it'll make sense in a little bit. Now, this is known as an HR diagram. The HR diagram is basically, in the universe, stars are going to fall somewhere on this main sequence, or they might be a little bit off of it, like to the upper left or the upper right. If you see down below, you have the area that would be considered white dwarfs. Oh, my laser pointer is working. Perfect. So then you'll have white dwarfs that fall this. This is not the main sequence. This part's the main sequence. And as you can see, our sun is on the main sequence here. And basically, based on the temperature, your reds are your cooler stars, whereas your blues, supergiants, are your hotter stars, right? So we can tell basically the size and mass of a star just looking at its spectral emission of basically its color, because that tells you how hot it is, and to be that hot, it has to have a given mass. Now, here's a picture of our sun. Now, our sun's not going to turn into a black hole. It's very unlikely. It would have to get more mass. But I wanted to start with our sun because it's something that's so familiar to us, because, it's the closest star that's, next to us. But here's what you need to understand about creating a black hole. It's, well, how do stars work in general? Well, they're hot inside. They're so hot that they create a lot of thermal pressure pushing out. But remember, there's a lot of mass. So that mass is gravitationally attracted to itself, so the gravity wants to pull in. So when you have a star, what you have is a hydrostatic equilibrium, where the gravitational forces pulling all the mass in is equal to the thermal pressure pushing out. And as long as those two are equal, you'll have a nice spherical sun or star, as it were. No matter the mass, they should be stable, they should be spherical. But now remember that pressure. If the pressure is too great on the inside, then you would push and expand the star out. But if there wasn't enough temperature to create the pressure to counteract the gravitational force pulling in, then the star would contract. Keep that in mind. And this is just a look at our sun. This is its core, right? Then you have these different zones. You have a convection zone, which is basically where it gets hot and starts to go out to the surface. Then it cools off and it comes back down, so it's kind of like a convection oven, and that material is circulating. Then you have the corona, which is actually super hot, it's in millions of degrees, and you'd think, well, why is the corona hotter than the surface? We're still working on that. But as you would think, that the core is actually very hot. And if I'm correct, oh yeah. So here is what I did. Now, our sun is not going to turn into a black hole, but this blue supergiant is a prime candidate to be a black hole. And I wanted to give you a little bit of show you the inside to give you a little structural difference. First off, the core obviously is a lot bigger because this star is much more massive, right? And the structure is a little bit different, as you can tell. Now, This isn't necessarily about a black hole, but to understand why a black hole is black, I have to talk about light. So I'm going to give you a real quick exercise. Remember, I'm limited on time, so we're going to roll through this. I'm going to make an argument that you all cannot see me right now. Now, I know most of you are looking at you going, no, 6'3" black guy with the dreads, I see you. No, I argue you do not, and I'll prove it. Everyone, please close your eyes. If your eyes are closed, can you see me while your eyes are closed? No. Open your eyes. See me again? No. But let me explain why. See, you can't see me when your eyes are closed is because light can't get into your eye. So the light can't go through your pupil. Oh, okay. Thought I did something wrong. You do your thing. All right. So light can't go through your pupil to the back of your eye where you have an optic nerve, right? And the optic nerve takes that photon, which is actually light, and it sends it through your optic nerve to your brain, which you interpret into a signal. By the way, what your eye sees is upside down. Your brain corrects for it. You can also see your nose, but your brain ignores it. See, now you see your nose just because I brought it up. But nevertheless, so light has to go into your eye for you to see anything. Well, one of the reasons a black hole is black is because you don't really see me. What you see is the light that has come out of these fixtures. They've hit me. They've bounced off of me into your eye. And you see the photons that have bounced off of me into your eye, and your brain is interpreting that into an image. Well, the thing about black holes are that when you get to the event horizon, I'll get to that in a moment, it's this point away from the singularity in the middle of the black hole that light can't escape. So if light can't bounce off of the black hole because it got sucked in, then that information can never get for your eye to see. That's why it's black. It's the absence of light. So what a star does is in its core, all of these hydrogen atoms are getting turned into helium because of this high pressure, and they're being fused together. Well, the energy levels of the electrons around those hydrogen atoms are getting excited and de-excited. And when they de-excite, an electron drops from a higher energy level to a lower one, it emits a photon. And then that photon comes out and eventually works its way out of the sun. By the way, it takes light about 1 million years to get out of the core of the sun to your eye. So every time you're looking at light, you're looking at million-year-old light. Well, actually 1 million in 8.2 minutes, because it takes 8.2 minutes for the light to get from the sun to your eye. I just thought I'd blow your mind there. But nevertheless, and here's a little diagram of the random walking that photon is doing, bumping on into other hydrogen atoms until that photon gets out of the star into your eye. Now we're going to get to how this black hole is going to be created. So hydrogen is being, slammed together to make helium. Well, when any star runs out of helium, it's now going to take it's now created all this helium. Well, it's going to, smash together and become beryllium. And so every time you've run out of an element, that new element is what's going to be infused. Well, the problem is you need more energy to make that fusion. And so at some point, the element gets so heavy that you can't fuse it anymore. Well, if you're not fusing it, then you're not creating that thermal pressure to counteract the gravitational pull towards its center. So I'm going to jump ahead to this. Now, with our star, not going to be a black hole. What it's going to do is it's actually going to start to expand when it uses up all of its hydrogen and it gets to the point that it can't really keep fusing. And so it's going to expand. It's going to engulf Mercury, Venus. It's going to engulf the Earth. Don't worry. That's like 5 billion years from now. You're good to go. Unless you want to hang around to see it, but that's on you. So then it's going to lose that sheath, and it's just going to expand into the universe, and what you're going to have left over is a white dwarf. And so this is the Ring Nebula, and the Ring Nebula, there's the white dwarf right there, and then that's the sheath that was let off of it. And these don't always look like this. They can look, they're random. This one just happens to look like the ring, hence Ring Nebula. Now, I think this is actually a better slide to use, so I'm going to jump because, again, I'm conscious of time. So let's take a look at this ordinary supernova. So you've got this hydrogen, right? And as it's living its life, it's taking that hydrogen and turning it into helium. So you have this helium core. Well, let's say that you've used up all the helium. The hydrogen, now you have a helium core. Now there's no more helium. So what is it going to do? It's going to fuse, and you're going to get carbon. And then when you're using up that carbon in the core, you're gonna make, what do I have there? My glasses are wrong, I'm sorry. Thank you, neon. So you're gonna have the neon, and you're gonna keep going, now you get to oxygen. Now that hot oxygen is gonna keep going to the point it doesn't have enough energy to keep on fusing to these heavier elements. And so what will end up happening is now the gravitational force is greater than the thermal pressure, and the star collapses into its core. And that is such an energetic interaction that it rips the star apart, and you're left, if I go back, I'm going forward, I want to go back, you're left with, say, what we started off with, the Crab Nebula. It smashed into its core, ripped everything apart, and now you have this. Now, two things can happen with that core. It can either become a black hole or it can become a neutron star. And that has to do with how much mass is in that core, right? So let me go back forward again. So, boom, supernova, and what are we going to have? Well, a couple of things that can happen. You can do the sun thing, which is on the top here. As I mentioned, it would make a planetary nebula. You have a white dwarf. Eventually, it'll cool off and become a black dwarf and just float, this hulk of carbon floating through space. Pray you don't run into it accidentally because you can't see it. But if you're this big star, you could actually, once you use up all of that hydrogen and you don't have that ability to maintain that pressure pushing out, there'll be an expansion, then there will be the collapse. No more star, because it's collapsed on its core. Now, here's the deal. Either that core will be a neutron star or a black hole. If the core, now I'm going to give you a word called solar masses, and that would be the mass of the sun. So if the core that you have left over is 2.16 solar masses, or greater than that rather, that core has enough mass to collapse into a black hole. If it does not have enough mass, then it would be a neutron star. And why do they call it that? Well, if you think about the center of an atom, you have an electrons orbiting, then you have protons and an equal number of neutrons. And so that core gets squashed so tight that all you've got are these neutrons stuck together. So it's highly, highly dense, and it's still giving off thermal emission. In fact, to give you how dense a neutron star is, if I took a spoonful, like I could survive this, if I took a spoonful of neutron star in a spoon, what spoon could hold that, but whatever, it would weigh as much as Manhattan Island. That's dense, right? So think about this. You're crushing mass into a very, very small volume. And what happens when you have small volume, you have increased pressure, which means you have increased temperature. So it's hot, but it's dense, and it has a very strong magnetic field. And you see these things coming out on these ends here? That's called beaming. So sometimes neutron stars can beam, and it's where particles will get accelerated around it and then shot off the poles. The poles don't necessarily have to be the axis of rotation. It's the magnetic poles of the neutron star. And by the way, black holes rotate too, and this has to do with something called conservation of angular momentum. The sun rotates. If you ever look at some time-lapse photo of the sun, it's actually rotating. Well, let's pretend that our sun was big enough to be able to turn into a neutron star. As it collapses, the radius is decreasing, so the angular momentum has to stay the same, so the only thing it can do is increase its velocity such that the angular momentum always remains constant. So there's an equation, thinking about it, maybe I should have thrown that equation in here, but I didn't want to get too heavy, but it's really simple that, I'll give you a perfect example. Got a skater in the Olympics, you know how they turn around and they start to spin really fast, and they bring their arms in? They are changing, what they're doing is they're using angular momentum to spin faster, because to keep the angular momentum constant, as the arms are brought in, the radius decreases, so the angular momentum has to increase so they spin faster. Same thing with black holes. And because they're spinning, their magnetic fields do these really crazy things such that they can actually have particles that didn't get sucked into the event horizon spit out along that pole, and that's called beaming. So I'll show you a picture of that in a second. Okay, so now I want to just get into the kind of like the anatomy of a black hole. So you remember Interstellar, where they had that picture of the black hole and it looked kind of like this? Well, they actually consulted physicists on what you're looking at. And I realized that the font is a little hard to see, but I wanted to point out the really important things. This disk here is the accretion disk. The accretion disk is, remember now, if a black hole is near a lot of gas, it's going to suck that gas in. But that gas isn't going to fall in all at once, so it starts to rotate, kind of like the whirlpool in your bathtub when you let the water out. And so, but there's so much gas that the closer it gets in, the gravity is pushing it together, so that is creating heat. And so that accretion disk is glowing because of all the pressure of those hot gases that are swirling around the black hole as it slowly gets sucked into the event horizon. So that's what you're looking at here. Here, you're actually looking at the back of the black hole because the gravitational pull of the black hole is so incredibly strong that light its path can be bent by the gravity. In fact, here's a theory that we have about a black hole that's actually pretty crazy. So let's just say that here's the black hole and I'm standing next to it and for some reason I'm still alive, which I really can't justify. So let's just suspend disbelief. If I look this way and I'm standing next to the black hole here, what I should see is the back of my head. Now, well, why would you see the back of your head? Because the light is going to curve around the back of or from the back of my head, the light is going to curve around the black hole and come until it reaches my eye. Yeah, crazy, right? So that's the same effect that you're thinking about when you're looking at the back of the black hole, because that's the light that's being arched over the top from the back side of it. Yeah, crazy. Crazy things happen around black holes, right? And so I also want to talk about lensing, because lensing is if light is traveling around, or should I say passing by a high mass object like a star or a black hole, that light gets bent. So when we take pictures of stars and we see kind of like this little ring, we realize that that is lensing and that there was some high mass object that had taken the light and bent it as it was passing by that high mass object. So here's that beaming that I was talking about, where the energized gases or jets are being sent away from the black hole. Here is the accretion disk. Now, here's the thing I want to talk about a black hole that's a little bit of a misconception. When they say, well, the black hole's huge, and they think about this big giant sphere, that sphere is the event horizon. But that's not technically a physical thing. What it is that, think about a satellite orbiting the Earth. A satellite orbiting the Earth is actually falling. It's falling, but here's the deal. If I slowed the satellite down, it would just start to get closer and closer in a spiral until it's smacked into the Earth. Well, imagine a satellite orbiting the Earth that's going just fast enough that it never hits the Earth. So that orbit, it's falling because it's moving with a certain velocity that doesn't let its radius get any smaller. Well, if that's the case, you can orbit anything so long as you can go fast enough not to get sucked in towards it. Well, what's the upper limit of velocity in our universe? The speed of light. So the event horizon is the distance where the speed, you cannot exceed a speed great enough to escape its gravitational pull, hence no information leaves the event horizon because you can't go faster than light. So let's just say you were just far enough where the event horizon was here and you're here. Okay, you'd be just under the speed of light, right? So if you got to the speed of light, you could theoretically get away. But if you got to that radius where light can't get away, now you're inside. And that's why studying a black hole, well, hey, why don't we take a probe and send it in and see what it tells us? You can't, because the signal can never get out of the black hole to tell you any information. So if you, by some miracle, could make a spaceship that could stand the gravitational pull to go in the black hole to find out what's really in there, you'd find out. Unfortunately, you could never tell us. And now we're pissed off at you for keeping a secret. So the other thing is this. So don't think that the big black thing is the black hole. It's just where light cannot escape, and as I demonstrated earlier, if light can't bounce off of something to go into your eye, it cannot be perceived through light. And so those event horizons depend on the mass of the singularity inside. The bigger the mass of the singularity inside, the greater the gravitational pull, which means the radius that light cannot escape would get bigger as that mass is greater. Now, some black holes could be, like I said, for a neutron star to become a black hole, have to be 2.16 times the sun's mass. But as you may know, supermassive black holes could be anywhere from 1 million solar masses to billions of solar masses. So needless to say, a singularity that's billions of times the mass of the sun would have a very big event horizon. So then I present to you I need my glasses, 618. I had to search for this, because every time they say, well, this is the biggest one, I find another one that they found one later. But thus far, the largest black hole we know of is ton 618. You see that little dot in the center there? You see that little dot? That's the solar system. Not the sun, not Mercury, it's the entire solar system. And if I remember correctly, if light crossed the event horizon, it would take 7 hours for it to reach the center of the black hole for this one. I just recently looked that up, so I might have that time wrong, but let's just go with it's a very long distance from the event horizon to the singularity, which is basically the core of that star that collapsed into this minuscule, infinitesimally small point. Because the physics of it is as you take a mass and you reduce its radius, but you keep the same mass and its density goes up, its gravitational pull goes up. Now, I want to point out a misconception. That means let's just pretend that the sun got squashed down into a black hole. Nothing's going to happen to the Earth because it's a conserved mass. You didn't change the mass, you just crammed it into a small spot. So that just means that the Earth would orbit a black hole. We wouldn't get sucked in, we'd stay the same distance we are. Now, there are some problems. We no longer have a source of heat, so you're not going to see a sun anymore. It's just that we're orbiting a black hole. Now, you might ask, well, if they're black, then how do we find them? Well, there are a couple of ways. If they're a supermassive black hole in an active galaxy, which means that active means that it has gases that it can turn into an accretion disk, and it might be beaming and sending off these relativistic jets into the universe, well, we can spot them pretty easily. But if you're lucky, what you have is a binary, let's say they're not a super massive black hole, you might be a part of a binary star system where you had two stars orbiting its center of mass. And one star didn't die, but the other one turned into a black hole. Well, if you see a star orbiting something, a star is huge. So it's not going to orbit nothing, which means that it's got to be orbiting something, and that's a good piece of evidence that there's a black hole out there that it's orbiting that you can't see. So the last thing I'll say is there is a theory, and it is only a theory. Remember they were sometimes saying that there's another planet in our solar system and we just can't see it because it's so far away? There is a physicist that came up with a theory that that planet, the reason we can't see it, is just a small black hole. Now, they're still working on whether that's true or not, but it just gives you the idea that a black hole could, in fact, be hidden if it doesn't have anything to orbit, and maybe we are orbiting it, but they're still working that out. So I think I got my time limit here, so I want to take this time to answer any questions that I can answer. Because when I don't know, I'm just going to tell you, I don't know, but I'm going to email an answer back to you after I find out. Are there any questions? Ooh, real quick thing. Remember that whole beaming thing? This is the Death Star galaxy. Let me tell you how lucky we are in the Milky Way, because we're actually on a collision course with our sister galaxy, the Andromeda galaxy. But here is an unlucky galaxy. This is a galaxy that has an, point up here. This is an active galaxy that actually has relativistic jets booming out of it, and it's beaming another galaxy. And this is the debris of that beaming. These are like gamma rays, which are the most energetic, beams that you can have. That galaxy is being irradiated away. Here's an artist's conception of what that looks like. Here's the supermassive black hole inside the galaxy. Here's the beam coming out, and here's the galaxy that it's blasting. So any morning that you just are like, this day sucks, my life is terrible, just remember, you are not here. And here's sometimes they wonder, well, what if a black hole came by a star, what would happen? Well, it would look kind of like this. It would start to eventually suck away the outer material of the black hole and form an accretion disk. You'd get your beaming going on. And eventually, there would be so much material moved away that the thermal pressure inside the star would exceed the gravitational pressure pulling in because he kept sucking mass off of it. And then this star would explode, and then this black hole would suck up everything that's left. And then cruise. Black holes, man, they just do their thing, you know? And that would end my talk, and this is an artist's conception of that moment that the star lost enough of its mass such that the inner pressure just ripped it apart. I know, this was like such a happy talk, you know? But if you have you have a question here? Okay, go ahead.
I'm going to speak slowly so that I can walk through this logic and not
mess
it up. And this is the opposite of what you've been talking about, because you talked about why our star is not going to turn into a black hole and it would get bigger. Mm-hmm. You told the story about how as it uses up its energy, it actually gets heavier, and therefore the gravitational force becomes more as it becomes more massive, right? So why is our star doing the opposite of that?
Because when you start fusing the heavier elements and you get to the limit of what you can fuse, then that means it's going to get cooler, right? All right, so now...
So does that reduce the radiation force?
Yeah, I totally see what you're saying. Okay. So, here's the deal. Because of that, I actually have said that a little bit. I can see where I confused you, so let me take a step back. You have a limit now of how much you can fuse. You're not going to fuse into your next element. But it is hot enough now that you have taken so much mass into that core that you now don't have enough mass to sustain that equilibrium. So now it's lighter than the thermal pressure pushing out. And so now that outer part is going to expand. And it will expand to the point that it just gravitationally cannot be bound by that core, hence it turns into that nebula. So I'm actually glad that you asked that question. I kind of didn't put that little detail in there. 75%
understood what you said.
Yeah. Say again. Oh, yes.
Same question.
Whew, gotta be on a spot there. Okay, I'm gonna give you the most accurate answer that I can give you. Not every physicist agreed with Hawking. In fact, I saw a special on television once that said if you polled the top 100 physicists in the world who are the greatest physicists, there were some that said that he wouldn't even make the list, which really blew my mind. But in the same time, I thought about it and I was like, actually, I'm not surprised. Because of the scientists out there, physicists can sometimes be the most I didn't want to say the word, arrogant, yeah. But yeah, and so when you're pushing the envelope of theory and challenging conventional wisdom, not everybody's going to agree with you. And so he was controversial because he was pushing certain theories that not everybody looked at the theory and said that it agreed with those terminologies. And by the way, in physics that can happen. In physics that can happen because remember now, Einstein, when he did the general theory of relativity, he saw that his theory was like the universe is accelerating away from itself. And there was nobody that could explain why the universe should be accelerating because that would mean that a force needed to drive it. So he just threw a constant in his equation to compensate for the acceleration and kept it moving. If he had actually challenged conventional wisdom and said, yes, the universe is accelerating, he might have had two Nobel Prizes because, by the way, Einstein's first Nobel Prize, well, only Nobel Prize, but his Nobel Prize had nothing to do with relativity. It was photoelectric effect. So not even Hawking, as brilliant as he was, not everybody agreed with his theories. And that's kind of what happens when you push the envelope. Yes?
Hi, Dr. Wallace.
Hi.
Great to see you again.
Oh my God, is that you? Is that? Oh wow, it is good to see you again.
Yeah,
How are you? What's going on?
You talk about black holes in terms of the death of the star, and they seem very dangerous because they pull in matter. But I'm wondering if there's any theoretical way that a black hole would be useful to humanity or some future civilization.
Wow. So, I remember there was some science fiction movie, and I don't even remember what it was, but they kept a black hole. Oh, Event Horizon. The movie in Event Horizon where they harnessed a black hole or a high gravitational field inside of a ship to cause space fold, such that because remember now, black holes actually warp time and space. Because space, what you may not realize is that space is actually linked to time. Theory states that they are actually they're not separate entities. So the gravitational pull of high mass objects actually warps time and space. So arguably, in some futuristic society that goes way beyond my comprehension, you could possibly utilize a high gravitational field for time travel and or space travel by folding. See, that's Dune, if you remember correctly. Space fold was, well, instead of traveling from A to B, we'll just fold it together like a piece of paper, move over, and then expand it again. So that, theoretically, but yeah, don't tell anybody I said I believe that. Yes. Okay.
So we're talking about the optics involved of finding these black holes, and with the Webb telescope now coming online, is there a chance that we're discovering that there's so many more black holes out there than maybe we realize?
We might. We very well might. We now have a resolution that is just beyond it. And look, take nothing from Hubble. Take nothing from Hubble, but it's if I had someone describe it, it was almost like we're able to have a resolution anywhere from 16 to 36 times greater than the resolution of Hubble. Don't quote me on that. But that just means that we're going to be able to see things that are further in space. Now, let me qualify that. It's not that we're really seeing further. We're seeing the light that emitted further out, right? So when you're looking at the sun, you're not looking at the sun now. You're looking at the sun 8.2 minutes ago because that's how long it took light to get from the sun to your eye. Well, if you're looking at the Andromeda Galaxy, you're not looking at it now. You're looking at the galaxy 2.2 million years ago because it took 2.2 million years for the light to get from Andromeda to your eye. Well, with the James Webb Telescope, we now have a resolution where we can see light that had been emitted billions of years ago, which means we're looking at the light that was emitted near the very creation of the universe itself. Now, with that level of resolution, then that means that we may be able to see things that are far off, that are binary systems, a binary star system where it might be one black hole and another massive star further out, which means we should be able to see more of them. So, I mean, we're probably going to be learning things that we didn't even know, much less we may have to rethink even the very concepts that we believed to exist at this point because we were limited to the information that was within the furthest things that we could see out at that time. Yeah, it's a good time to be alive. It is. Thank you very much, everybody.
That was amazing. My mind is a little bit blown. I've definitely got a lot to think about and chew on. We're going to go ahead and, thank you. We're going to enjoy our moment of mindfulness. I think we all could use a moment to just close our eyes and breathe and think about the things that we just discovered.
do a little mashup here, nice and easy, but hopefully everybody can sing along, should know it. She packed my bags last night, pre-flight, 0 hour, 9 a.m. And I'm gonna be high as a kite by then. I miss the earth so much, I miss my wife. It's lonely out in space on such a timeless flight. Mars ain't the kind of place to raise your kid. In fact, it's cold as hell, and there's no one there to raise them if you did. And all the science I don't understand. It's just my job 5 days a week. Rocket man, rocket man. And I think it's gonna be a long, long time till touchdown brings me round again to find I'm not the man they think I am at home. No, no, no. I'm a rocket man, burning out his wings up here alone. For here am I sitting in a tin can, far above the world. Planet Earth is blue and there's nothing I can do. This is Major Tom to ground control. I'm stepping through the door, and I'm floating in a most peculiar way. And the stars look very different today. Ground control to Major Tom, your circuit's dead. There's something wrong. Can you hear me, Major Tom? Can you hear me, Major Tom? Can you hear me, Major Tom? Can you hear? Am I floating in my tin can?
Thank you, our amazing weekend rock stars, the UnNamed Assembly Band. Every month we try to give one of our community members an opportunity to share with us what's been going on with them, what's been challenging them, and how they're trying their best in life. So I'm really excited to introduce my friend Gwen Brown, who's going to be sharing her Trying My Best story with us. So I got to pull this down because I'm not a giant. So in 1986, I was watching the TV, and I saw this amazing rocket launch its way off the platform and into the sky, only to blow up in a giant cloud of dust. This was the Challenger explosion, and it's the very first news item that I ever remember happening in my life. So that tells you how old I am. But the thing is that for the whole entirety of my life, I was always told, you can do whatever you want. You can be whatever you want, but we have some rules for you first. There's things that you have to do. There's things that you should do. There's things that you have to be. You're the oldest. You're responsible. You have to take care of your brother and sister. You're a woman, you have to make sure you're not too sexual for these other guys. You better watch out. And there was all these things that I was told that I had to do and had to be. And over these last few years, especially with COVID, I said, no way. I'm done being responsible for anybody but me. So a lot of the last few years has been figuring out, what exactly am I responsible for? I'm responsible for my actions and how they impact others. So I am conscious of trying to make sure that I interact authentically with my partners. And yes, I said partners because I am polyamorous. And it's about damn time I get to say it. Sorry, it's kind of a big thing for me to put out there because I've been afraid. I've been scared of how people would perceive me, of how it would change, how they would no longer see me as the good little girl. And you guys, that's not me anymore. That label doesn't apply anymore. My pronouns have adapted. My name has changed. And guess what? You do too. You're not the same person you were 10 minutes ago, let alone 10 years ago. I mean, you're physically, you still have all the memories and everything like that, but the thing is, you have to allow yourself space for growth. And holding yourself to this crazy ideal of perfection, it's not sustainable. And so giving myself permission to try and fail, giving myself permission to learn and adapt, and giving myself permission to say, you know what? Respectfully, that's not my responsibility. That's been my trying my best over this last year. That was really awesome. I'm also a polyamorous person, so ethical sluts unite. What's up? Before we go into our announcements, I want to real quick acknowledge all of the many, many hands and brains that went into making this assembly a reality. Thank you to our amazing tech team. Jason Panks in the back, always running everything, making everybody sound good. None of this works without you, Jason. I hope you know how much we love you. Thank you to Loie for putting together our presentation and running it for us. Thank you to Dr. Wallace for being our amazing speaker, blowing our minds. Our camera crew is Josh, Rodney in the back, who you can't see, and Joel Murray all over the place over here. And our band has been Deb Dennison, her husband Ray, Jason's pointing at me.
Franco.
Franco on lights, sorry. I didn't know he was running lights. Look at you. He's like a little ninja back there. He's all stealth mode. The hat and the mask, it's like a disguise. So, man, we have Ray, Deb, Sarah, Adam, Stephen, Aaron Rose. You can't see him. He's hiding somewhere. And Chris Shannon, who you met before on drums. They're so amazing. Can you believe we're just a volunteer-led community organization and we have that band? How cool is that? Give it up for them. They're awesome. I don't have any announcements to share, but I know that Ms. Brenda Quinn does. So, Brenda, if you can join me up here at the mic, I'm going to just say some stuff while she walks up here. Doesn't look like a long trip, but it actually is several steps. My lady.
Hi, everybody. So I am here to announce a t-shirt design contest. We need t-shirts, right? It's been a long time since we've had one. So I am inviting anyone who would like to submit a design. Send it to livebetter@sundayassembly.com, or you can contact me through Facebook or however you want to contact me and send it to me. So we are announcing this in August. In September is when your designs are due. By the September Assembly is the date, right? Your designs are due by that date. In October, we will have slides made of the designs, and if there's too many, Live Better may have to winnow them down to 4 or 5 of what we think are the best. And then in October, you will vote on your favorite design. And in November, which is our anniversary, you get your t-shirt. Yay! So the way we're going to do it is once we have the design picked, you will be able to go through PayPal and order your t-shirt in your size and however many you want and all of that. Any questions about that? Oh, the winner. Why would you enter this design? Well, fame and fortune, of course. You get a free t-shirt. Come on. So the winner gets a free t-shirt and, of course, much admiration and gratitude, right? James Brown, JB, what's your question? Oh, let's keep them cheaper by doing it front only. Although if you have a killer, really funny front back one, it could win. I'm not saying no, but my preference is going to be front only, and probably limited to a couple of colors. Okay, but we're not limiting font anymore. Oh, it has to say Sunday Assembly Nashville on it somewhere. Okay, but other than that, let your creative juices flow. All right, now, announcement number 2. Speaking of creative juices, Jeannie Butte designed some killer buttons and stickers, and we have them out front. Please come by, pick yourself up 1 or 2. We have my personal favorite, Southern Fried Atheist. There's also Atheist, y'all, and I believe in good. So those are all buttons, and then we have stickers that say, in the beginning, man created God. And what's the other one? Oh, my favorite. All y'all need just a little less Jesus. So please pick up stickers, pick up buttons, put them on your guitar cases. This is Nashville. Put them on your backpack, your hat, whatever. We want these out there in the world because they are too cute and too funny to not be out there. So pick them up on the table as you leave today. It's your little free gift today. I'll be bringing them every month leading up to November. All righty? All right. Be thinking about that t-shirt thing. We'll announce it on Facebook too. Thanks.
Earlier I was talking about how much fun I had planning this assembly. Oh, look, the slides are in a different order. Lori Butler used to be in charge of taking our collection because she said, where two or more gathered, there are expenses. That's true. We do have to pay the rent on this place. Although other than that, we are 100% volunteer run as an organization. So if you see a hat passing your way and you have the ability to contribute to making our community great, that's awesome. If it's not in the budget, we love you anyway, and we welcome you regardless. Thank you so much for coming out. There's a QR code if anybody wants to scan it. We can get that for you after the assembly if anybody, or you can just go to our website, scroll to the bottom, and you can set up your monthly donation. If you see people walking around with a spiffy green badge, that's because they did the set it and forget it option, and they are just a monthly sustaining donor. Thank you so much to our sustaining donors. You help a lot. Earlier, I was talking about how you can get involved. You'll see some names up on the screen. Maybe you don't know who those people are. I'm going to try and make them wave at you. Jason's in the back. He does our production stuff, tech, lights. He's the god of everything. Contact him if you want to get involved with the tech stuff. Music is Stephen Phelps out here, our silver fox. He's amazing. You want to join the band? You play an instrument? I know he's looking for a bass player. Connect with Stephen, come and join us, make some music. It's super, super fun. In charge of our Live Better group is Brenda, if you want to stand or wave. And they plan our social events and potlucks and picnics and all those fun things that help make life better. Our Help Often team is currently being led by Stephen as well. We are looking for somebody to head up that department. That's the Department of Community Service Opportunities. So that's something really exciting. If you want to get involved in making your city a better place, come and lead our Help Often group. Wonder More is Josh Brown up here in the camera. And he is our team lead for our Wonder More committee. We're the people who plan these monthly assemblies. Doing promotions, graphics, social media is Jeannie. There's Jeannie. And again, Jason, because one job isn't enough for him. We do have various social media. If you're the type of person, we realize this is still the South, even though it's Nashville. We do have a private group that's called Secret Sunday Assembly Nashville. Talk to any of the leaders that I just mentioned if you want to get added to that group. We're happy to get you involved. And that's something that is private, so other users, like if you don't want your mom to know that you're going to a secular community, we're not going to snitch, because we don't like stitches. Our next assembly is on September 11th, and it is going to be themed on rallying for Ukraine. We're going to learn a lot about the situation going on in Ukraine, and more specifically, how we can support those individuals who are going through such trauma right now. It should be a really special and important one. Now I've got to read this to make sure I get this right. Okay. When we talk about the wonders of the universe, like black holes and exploding stars and black holes bigger than our entire solar system, it kind of makes me feel a little bit small as a person. Gives me a little perspective that I'm just this tiny speck on this rock hurtling through space and time. And I kind of feel like a lot of nothing, you know? I want to put that in perspective for us. There is a 1 in 10 to the 2,685,000 power chance that you would even exist. So that number is a 10 followed by almost 2.7 million zeros. That is the probability of each of you pieces of stardust for existing. The chances are so slim, even though we're so small, we're literally miracles to be alive on this beautiful planet. And that's the idea that I wanted to leave you with today. Yes, we're tiny. Our universe is amazing. But each of us, it's so unlikely that we would even be here to begin with. So what's our purpose? We need to find it, and we need to get about that work. Whether it's being a pharmacist, or being a nurse, or being a teacher, or being a mom. Our job is to find our purpose and do the best we can to the best of our ability, because we only get one shot that we know about. So I want to challenge all of us to make the most of it. And now our band is going to come to melt our faces off. Let's rock out with them.
All right, let's give it up for Felicia as host. What a great job. Thank you for navigating us through today. We've just got a couple more songs. Y'all are been great. In case anybody missed anything today, we're going to start off with this little start before we hit the next song. All right, are we ready, folks? All right. Hello. We are the UnNamed Assembly Band.
And we want to welcome you to our musical laboratory.
As philosopher Rudolf Carnap once so clearly said,
Science is a system of statements based on direct experience and controlled by experimental verification. Or, as we say, science is real. From the Big Bang to DNA, science is real. From evolution to the Milky Way. I like the stories about angels, unicorns, and elves. Yeah, I like the stories as much as anybody else. But when I'm seeking knowledge, either simple or abstract, the facts are with science. The facts are with science. Science is real. Science is real. Science is real. Science is real. From anatomy to geology. Science is real. From astrophysics to biology. Scientific theory isn't just a hunch or guess. It's more like a question that's put through a lot of tests. And when theory emerges, consistent with the facts, the proof is with science. The truth is with science. Science is real.
science is real, science is real.
Science is real. Thank you.
Oh, that one always makes me cry.
Yes, well, true. All right, Deb is going to lead us in the next one, and this is the one where if you're able and if you're willing to stand and sing and dance and clap along, we would welcome you to do that. This is a fun one. Are you ready? Are you ready? Well, we're almost ready, and George is ready, and Patrick's ready, and it's like romper room. I see
We need
Brenda
some sunshine right out there,
and-
don't we? If we had sunshine right out there on that front police, we could. Oh, a little sunshine. We could walk on it.
We'll walk on the sunshine, right?
Don't make me tell a dad joke.
I used to think, baby, you love me now, baby, I'm sure.
just can't wait till the day when you knock on my door. Now every time I go for the mailbox, gotta hold myself down, 'cause I just can't wait till you write me you're coming around. I'm walking on sunshine, whoa. I'm walking on sunshine, whoa. I'm walking on sunshine, whoa. And don't it feel good? Hey, all right now. And don't it feel good? Hey, yeah. I used to think maybe you loved me. I know that it's true. I don't want to spend my whole life just waiting for you. I don't want you back for the weekend, not back for a day. Oh, no, no. Say, baby, I just want you back, and I want you to stay. Oh, yeah. I'm walking on sunshine, whoa. I'm walking on sunshine, whoa. I'm walking on sunshine, whoa. And don't it feel good? Hey, all right now. And don't it feel good? Oh, yeah. And don't it feel good? Walking on sunshine, walking on sunshine, walking on sunshine, walking on sunshine. I feel alive, I feel love, I feel love, it's really real. I feel alive, I feel love, I feel love, it's really real. Sunshine, baby, oh yeah, sunshine, baby. I'm walking on sunshine, whoa. I'm walking on sunshine, whoa. I'm walking on sunshine, whoa. And don't it feel good? Hey, all right now. And don't it feel good? I say it again now. And don't it feel good? Hey, oh yeah. And don't it feel good? Don't it, don't it, don't it, don't it, don't it. And don't it feel good? I'll sing it again now. And don't it feel good? Tell me, tell me, tell me, tell me, tell me. And don't it feel good? Tell me again now. And don't it feel good? And don't it feel good? Yeah, yeah. And don't it feel good? And don't it feel good?
All right, Deb, nice job. All right, we're closing it out with the final song that we do every single Sunday at Sunday Assembly, and we're just so grateful that you came. We hope to see you next time, and stay attention to the interwebs because we've got lots going on. Are we ready? This one's called I Believe in Good. I believe in good. Oh, I believe in good. I believe in being good and doing good, just for goodness sakes. Good makes the whole world better. Good is great. I believe in harmony, respect for all humanity. I believe that we will find the only truth we need. Living this one life by this one creed. for coming out on this beautiful Sunday. We hope you have a great one. Say hello to all your friends and make new ones if you haven't. All right, thank you so much. Have a great Sunday.